Hey there everyone, and let's get again talk about the promises. And in the last video we talked about it. You didn't got much of the syntax because I didn't wanted you to go there onto the syntax first. But we learned a couple of things that whenever you use promises, it requires a function, and in the function we have got two properties there, resolve and reject, which based on what we are getting is set onto that. So that's clear up, and that's a good news because now we are going to use that, and now we are going to use an API to make a request call there. And we are not right now interested to get each and every data from that. Right now we are just interested in getting the right or wrong. Like for example, if we get a request done, that means we are going to say, hey, we are done with that. And if we are not, we make an intentional mistake in the URL or anything, then it's going to say, hey, it's not done. Okay. And the URL is going to be randomuser.me/API. It's kind of a lorem ipsum for the API practices. It's completely free, open source, and I like it quite a lot. I use it in a lot of my projects, in a lot of my tutorials. So in case you want to use it, hey, go ahead to use that. So let's go back there. And now let's write quickly a function using promises again. So this is my function. Okay. Now function, we're gonna what we should call this as test call. Let's just call this as test call because we are making a call to the API there, and it's gonna take a parameter which is gonna be the URL. Okay, that's our function. Now in this function definition, previously we have seen that we can return a promise that if something is gonna return, I'll give you that. If an error comes up, I'll give you that. And you can continue your programming. I just make a promise that I'll give you something in the future. So there we go. And we can return a new promise there. This is how we create a promise. And you have learned in the previous movie that it takes a function. And in the function, we have two parameters. The first is resolve and the second is reject. Okay. Oops, reject. There we go. Now we can further code on this function. This is our function definition there. Okay, and I'll just like to close this. Okay, there we go. We are good now. Now inside this, we can make a request. For example, I can create a variable and I'll call this as request. And this is going to make a simple request to a web page. So we create that request using new, and we use XML HTTP request there, and there we go, HTTP request. Okay, so request is being made. Now based on what is being loaded, we get a request status there. So for example, let's not get ahead of ourselves, so we're gonna say request dot onload, and this is a simple stuff that you might have done already in the sum of the JavaScript. There we go, we get a function, and based on what is being loaded, we can check. Now this is making the request, this is loading up the request, this is the inbuilt function, the request, when you call up to the function of XML HTTP request. Now we can compare the status code there. So I'll say if our simple request dot status is equals to 200, that means we have found something. Then we are gonna simply say resolve dot, or let's just say resolve, and we're gonna say request dot response, because we only get response if the status code is 200 there. Okay, that is one case there, but what about the other case? In the other case, we are gonna store the things into the reject because our request is getting reject there. So there we go, we have got a reject. And the reject will just store the error because we are pretty much sure if it's not a status code 200, then obviously the reject is going to handle the things for us. So we're going to handle that onto the error, and it's going to be simply request dot, let's just call this as status text there, whatever that comes up. Okay, that is nice, and we are handling the things quite easily there. No big deal. Okay, that looks okay to me, but now what we can do apart from this is we can handle some of the things on the error, like we can handle some of the network errors as well, like if the internet is not working or anything. But right now I just want to do that. I don't want to do that. I will skipping all of the things. I'll just sending the request. So I'll just say request dot send. Okay, we are just minimizing our approach. That doesn't mean it's a correct approach. We should also take care about the network errors as well, but I think that's okay for us right now. Okay, now what we can do is we can call this function. So let's just say let's do a test call there, and we're gonna simply enter a URL there. So I'll just copy and paste this entire thing there into there. Looks good to me. And we are gonna handle this. So how do we handle that? We'll use these guys, curly braces. Not yet actually. We'll first go for the dot then, and again remember there are two things, the dot then, and we have got a simple dot error as well. Right now let's just go and worry about the dot then. In the then we can use a function or fat arrow functions, whatever you like to have. Let's just make things a little bit simple, and the function we are gonna get some of the response there. So let's just say we are having a response there. Okay, sounds nice. And there we go, we have got a response there, and this function would have a definition, of course, and the definition would be let's just console.log. Right now let's just not get ahead of ourselves. That was a terrible fumble, but I hope you bear with me. So I'll just say hooray there, and we can just catch the other case as well, in the reject case as well. Right now we have got just an error in the reject case. We are not printing it out. No big deal. Right now let's just clear that and run that. It's gonna take a second, and okay, things are not working exactly how we wanted it to be, but let's just worry about the error case as well, because I think we are making an error there. So now this looks good, or let's just say what happens onto the error. So let's just write that part as well so that we can get more of the things. So request dot on error. Okay, and this is going to be equal to a simple function. I'll quickly code out that, and there we go. In the function we are going to simply have reject case there. Oops, reject, and it's going to be exactly the same, and there we go. Or we can just have a network error there. Oops, I forgot there. So error is going to be simply like network issues. Okay, looks good to me. And now we have to actually code out for the function as well, if we get some error as well. This was for simply, let me just get a couple of lines there. Okay, so this was a dot then for the response, but we can also have a comma there and can code out a function for the error as well. So we'll have function, and this was for the response. This will be for error or the reject case. You can name it anything. And we're gonna say console.log, and we'll say error there. Okay, now I think we'll get the scenario of what we are actually missing out there. Okay, so it says error there. So since we are not getting requests, now this is a perfect example, no big deal. Since we are not getting an onload request, that doesn't mean that we are completely bad there. We are actually able to handle everything now. We are able to handle the network issues. We are able to handle if there is an error there, or just like what we are having here. So let's just see if we can make a request to this guy there somehow. Let's just quickly resolve this issues there. So this looks good. And I forgot one thing. I forgot to open the URL there somehow. So let me just go there, and just after this I'll just simply say request dot open a URL. I forgot to open a URL, and we'll open that using a get method, and we're gonna pass a URL there. So see, the mistakes are easily being taken care by the resolve and reject parameter, and I believe that this time we are good to go. Clear that, run that, and hooray, we have got a complete good response there. Now we could have got response text as well, which we'll surely get in the future videos, But right now I wanted to show you some things, and this works exactly fine there, because in case you mess around with code or something, your actually reject parameter works out with you and solves all of your problems and handles your problems. Now having a simple function or function call which doesn't handle the error is actually the worst kind of function there. But in case you have a function which handles your error nicely, then obviously you can work out to resolve your parameters, and that's actually a good thing. So this was a quick example, and I've tried my best to show you how the resolve and reject work, and based on that we have made an XML request or simply an HTTP request and got a hooray and obviously errors as well. But I hope you got the point and how the promises actually works in the ES6.